how she spends it, what she spends it on. So the first thing we're going to do is 50% in needs. So she has $389 she's putting towards needs. Needs are things that you are contractually obligated to pay or that you depend on for survival. So what are some things maybe, Michelle being a student, what are her needs? Okay.
Food and clothes.
Food and clothes. Yep. What else?
Toiletries.
Toiletries. There you go, Becca.
Shelter.
Shelter. Yep. Yes.
Taxes.
For what?
Taxes.
Taxes. So these are some things that Michelle has on her needs. So she's got some car payment she pays, some out-of-pocket medical, so maybe she's got or something like that she needs, gas, groceries, and she's got a credit card, it looks like, out there. So, is everybody's needs going to look like this? No. Everybody will have different needs, right? Somebody may not have a car, they may use a bike. Or they may use a bus. So everybody's needs are going to be a little bit different. So next we have wants. So what type of wants would she have, being a college student? Food? I'm not going to say that one. What was it? Entertainment? Clothes, yes. This would be what she wants to spend and go get, the Miss Me jeans, the extra jeans, all that kind of stuff that she needs. So these are, how she wants to spend her wants. She's got some clothes she wants to buy. She's got dining out. She wants to go to the movies. It's part of a gym that she's got to pay monthly dues on. Here's where her internet and cell phone bill and cable is. It's not necessarily a need. Miscellaneous cash, and then personal care. So this here is just kind of a little fun statistic we have about wants, since we were just talking about wants. So in 2011, Americans spent $10.7 billion on wants. So some of these things I thought were kind of amusing. $310 million on pet Halloween costumes. So a lot of people like to dress up their animals. $550 million in pretzels. $16 billion in chocolate. The top thing there says that you could buy about 300 private islands with money left over for a latte on those. So quite a bit of money that gets spent on just once. So there's a lot of room to cut back on some things that maybe you don't need. These are obviously typically things you probably don't budget for. It's probably something you were out in the store, decided you wanted a chocolate bar, saw that hot dog costume for your dog you just had to have. A little girl stops and wants to buy Girl Scout cookies. So these are the things you budget for. You don't know that I'm going to buy Girl Scout cookies. You may, but you may not. So these are just kind of some fun statistics there. So next we go back into savings. She wants to spend 20% in savings. So she wants to put $156 in savings. What type of savings do you think that she can put this in? What are some different things for savings?
A better car.
Better car. Vacation. Money for future use. Yep. Those type of things are all parts of this. So she's got retirement savings, so she wants to put some into retirement. She wants to start with that. She's got your long-term savings and your short-term savings.
Doesn't your job do retirement savings for you?
They can. Yes. You can also your job will do it. Usually if they take part in it, they'll do like a 401k, things like that for you. You also have options on your side you can put more money into. So you can go and you can see a financial advisor and you can invest that into a retirement. Or you can do like a IRA, individual retirement account. So you can do extra things besides just your work. That will do it. So she's doing maybe the coffee shop doesn't offer it. So now she wants to start around. So yeah, that's a good question. So this is how she wants to spend her money. And we'll go into more of the different types, what these are in a little bit here. This here, the elements of savings, we're just going to this real quick just kind of talks about maybe some tips to stretch your dollar. So maybe some different things you can do when you're out and about that maybe will help you stretch your dollar a little bit. So the first one, shop with a list. So maybe if you're going to the grocery store, you have a list rather than just going in and saying, oh, this looks good, this looks good, this looks great. You're gonna just, hey, I have my list, I know what I need to buy, that's all you're gonna buy. Coupons, use coupons if you need coupons. You know, 50 cents is 50 cents, that will help you. Maybe instead of buying lunch twice a week, you're going to pack your lunch twice a week. So that'll help stretch your dollar a little bit. Buy reliable, don't buy cheap, so buy something that's gonna last. Use your daily deal sites, Omaha Daily Deals, Groupon, things like that. You can get great deals on different things. And pay bills on time to avoid any late fees. Those are just added costs you don't need to have as long as you're paying your bills on time. This is a top resolution in the U.S. is to save more money. The figures are for the past 4 years is the consumer savings goal that they had per year. So as you can see in 2010, $14,000 was the goal. In 2011, 2012, that seemed to drop dramatically. Does anybody have a guess as to why it dropped?
So there wasn't enough money to save.
Correct? Yep, both recession, maybe somebody lost their job, they had to go into their emergency savings account, they had to use that money. Maybe another thing they could be is they were paying off bills, paying off debt. So they used that extra savings, paid down their debt so they didn't owe that money. So as you can see, we're at 2013, we're back up, $10,800, so we're on the rise to get back up. So hopefully that'll keep trending upwards. This here we talk about Save Smart. This isn't in the slideshow, but we kind of talked, what does SMART goals mean? Does anybody know what SMART stands for with their SMART goals? You remember? What the S stands for?
Specific.
Anybody know this?
Manageable. Measurable.
Measurable. So you want your goals to be specific, you want them to be measurable, attainable,
Reliable.
relevant. Or
Time bound.
time, yes, timely. Yes. Those are always good to keep in mind. You can use those anywhere. You can use them in sports, you can use them in school, in your work, saving money, anything. You can use it anywhere. These here, we don't have the SMART goals on here, but these are just kind of specific to financial savings. So these here, set a realistic goal. You don't want to say, I'm going to save $1,000 this month. When realistically, that's probably not going to happen. Maybe it's more like 25, 50 bucks. That's fine. Pay yourself first. Make sure you pay yourself first before going and spending it on something else. Put money in that savings account. Things like that. Start now. There's no reason to wait. Start now, start early. Because the sooner you start, the better off you are. We have a in-school banking that we're doing at an elementary school that the kids come up and they're starting to save little by little. So they're learning early how to start. Start small, like we said before, $5, $10, whatever you can spend, you'll start. That'll get you in the habit of saving, and then you can add money to it, and that'll just get you in the habit of adding. And then use separate accounts. You guys can use separate accounts. There's nothing saying you have to have one savings account for everything. I have 3 or 4 myself. Use one for emergency, one for this, one for that. There's different things that I save for. This here, we're going to go into the different types of savings. So I'm going to talk about retirement, short-term and long-term. All of them are important. Thinking about retirement, experts estimate that a person who wants to draw about $40,000 a year in retirement will need to have approximately about $1 million in their retirement and savings account kind of This year, they say that you should have at least 10% of your income for retirement. That's not necessarily true. It's going to depend on when you start saving. That's how much you need to have of your income in retirement. When you're 20 to 30, 10 to 15%, it's perfectly fine. Once you start getting older, as you can see, you're going to need to have more of that income put away in retirement to get you where you need to be. Long-term savings. Now these are ones that you use for emergency situations and maybe the what ifs that happen. What are some things long-term that maybe we would use? Medical bills? Yep. Car accident? Here's something else. Unemployment? Yep. Yeah, those are all house repairs, auto repairs. All those kind of things are emergency situations, maybe cost a lot. Most experts agree that you should have a minimum of 3 to 6 months of living expenses in the emergency savings fund. Why do you think it's 3 to 6 months?
Because you don't know how long you're going to be unemployed or how long you're going to be disabled.
Right. Those are kind of things that are probably going to take a little bit longer to overcome. So you want to have, at least a few months in there that you can live off of. Short-term savings. So what kind of things that you would do with short-term savings? What are some new things you would save for? Wedding. Cars. New house. Vacations. Yes. All those. Holiday shopping. All those are short-term. Those are ones that you know you're going to use right away, and you're going to just save up for that little bit of time and use it. Speaking of holiday shopping, since the holidays are coming up, we do have kind of another little fun statistic here. In 2011, Americans spent over $52 billion between November 1st and December 16th on holiday gifts. So that's quite a bit of money. In 2007, I think it averaged to be about $750 per shopper. So that's a lot of money people are spending out there. And normally, holiday shopping isn't something that they budget for. It's kind of, when you go out and you holiday shop, kind of last minute type of stuff. Since they don't budget for it, they didn't save for it, what do you think they use to buy their stuff?
Credit cards.
Credit cards. Yes. So they start to get the credit cards piled up, and they're having credit cards, now they have to start paying them off, right? So now we'll talk a little bit about maybe some different ways that you can pay off your credit cards that may be helpful. A lot of people say you should pay the highest interest rate credit card off first. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of ways, and we'll kind of see the difference when we show you this example here. We're going to kind of go back to Michelle. Michelle's got a $600 credit card, $7,400 car loan, and an $18,500 student loan. Okay? And then those are her minimum payments. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to try to add a little bit extra onto that minimum payment. So Michelle, thinking about it, she's like, okay, well, I'm going to cut down a little bit on some of my loans and try to get another extra $50 a month. And I'm going to take that $50 and I'm going to add it onto my credit card. So now we're paying $75 instead of $25. So she's taking that $75, she's paying off her credit card. Once that's paid off, she takes that $75 and she adds it onto her minimum payment of her car loan. So now she's paying $250 on her car loan. So she's now paying that off. Once the car loan gets paid off, she's going to put all that money onto her student loan. So she's now paying double of her minimum payment on the student loans. And she's not out any money, because besides the initial $50, because she's been spending that amount every single month. She's just reallocating that to a different fund. So you're not out any money. So this kind of graph here shows you got the white here. If you didn't do anything, just paid the minimum payments on your credit card, you would have paid over 16 years and paid a total amount of $37,894. So that's total amount. If you do the way we were talking about, the debt drop way, you would pay just 6 years and you'd pay $32,297. So $88 in saved payments that you have. So just by taking that little extra step. This here, more elements to save. These are just some different ways that you can save. And you always have to find what works best for you. So we have savings accounts. How many of you guys have savings accounts? Okay, so you guys know what those are, just an account you put money into and you earn interest on it. Money market accounts are essentially the same as savings accounts. Normally you have to have a little bit higher balance and they earn a little bit more interest. And then certificates of deposits, does anybody know what those are? CDs, you know there?
Is that where you can put in a certain amount of, not allowed to touch the money for a certain period, you get, much higher rate of interest on it.
Correct. Yep, exactly right. So it's just a time deposit pretty much. You set your money in there, you pick the term that you want, whether it's 6 months, 24, 60 months, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different terms. You get paid a set amount of interest, and you have to keep it in there that full length of time. If you needed the money, you could get it. You just have to pay a penalty to get it out.
Usually the longer tenor, the better the interest rate.
Yes, normally the longer the time frame, the better the interest rate, yes. Yep. Yes.
What's the longest amount of time you can put something in there for?
Our CDs that we have, the longest period we have is a 60 months, so 5 years is the longest we have. And then after that, I mean, you could renew it again for 5 years if you wanted, or renew it for a shorter term.
Do you know offhand what it's rate, something like that in the 60?
The 60 months right now are like 2.4, maybe?
Really?
2.2. Yeah. When I first started at the bank, CD rates, and that was 15 years ago, but when I first started at the bank, rates were, I think, over 8%
I was gonna
for
say,
CDs.
the way that's how people used to really invest in CDs.
Yes.
It was very valuable.
Yes.
Now you're tying out all your money for 5 years, but you're only getting 2% on
Yeah.
the return. It's kind of makes it just a little bit harder stuff probably for you guys.
Yeah. The thing about them is that they're safe.
Sure.
They're
There's no rules.
very safe. There's no risk in having a CD on it. Investments, now that's another option you can do. Those go into more of the stock market, the annuities, bonds, that kind of thing. Those tend to earn a little bit higher interest rates on how risky you want to be. So there's a lot of risky stuff, and then there's some very conservative stuff as well, so depending on that person. And then the last one is online savings accounts. The online savings accounts, those tend to be a little bit higher interest rate, just for the fact that they're a little bit harder to access because you have to do everything electronically. You can't just go into a branch and withdraw money out of an account. You have to do it electronically. This is just a quote from Albert Einstein: "Interest compounding is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time." Does anybody know what compounding interest is? Yes, it's where the bank is going to pay you interest on interest on interest on interest. So we're just going to keep paying you. And we'll have an example of how it works here in a sec. These are just some other facts that there are about interest. The annual percentage yield, when they talk about that, that is the annual rate of return on an investment after compounding. Compounded interest essentially pays you interest on your interest. You always want to compare the annual percentage yield over the rate when shopping for savings vehicles, because that's the amount you're going to pay over the year, not just the daily rate.
And by savings vehicle, you don't mean a car, you mean the type of savings.
It actually works for both.
Okay.
It works for savings, if you're looking for, when you look at our rates, and granted our rates right now are so low, there is no difference between the two, but if you look at our rate sheet, next time you're going to do a bank, ask them for a rate sheet. They'll give you one. But one side has the interest rate, which is maybe 2.2%, and the others, then there's a column right next to it that has the annual percentage yield, which is 2.2% right now. But back when they were 8%, you had the daily interest rate of maybe 8%, and then the annual percentage yield was maybe 8.25. So you're essentially earning more because we're paying you on your interest that you're earning. We're accounting for that as well. To where that interest rate is based on just the initial deposit you made. But it works for cars as well. They have that as well. They have the interest rate and they have the annual percentage yield as well. So it works the same. The more frequent the compounding, the more money you make. So they have daily compounding or they can do monthly compounding. And then the longer your investment sits, the more money you earn, just like the CDs that we were talking about. So this is going to be an example of the compounding interest rate. So let's go back to Michelle. Michelle decides she wants to put $50 a month into a savings account. She does a whole bunch of research and finds this awesome savings account that pays 5%. Okay? So she goes in, she puts $50 in. Doesn't change it whatsoever, continuously puts $50 a month in the account. Over 5 years, she does contributions, she puts in $3,000 of her own money, just by the $50 a month. The bank then has initially paid her $315 for keeping that money in the account. Not doing anything with it, just letting it sit there. So we're gonna go a little bit farther, 15 years down the road. She's still putting $50 in. She's now up to $9,000 that she has in that account. The bank has paid her almost $4,000 in interest. And so now she's up to $12,947. And then the last one that we have is 30 years. Still paying contributions of $18,000, just putting the $50 in like normal. Total balance now she has in her savings account is $39,863. So she has basically earned $22,000 in free money for just letting it sit in the account, not doing anything. So the savings accounts do work. If you can find some that have great interest account or interest rates, that's amazing. So it all works. There's different ways to save. So here are the next steps that we have, just kind of to make your plan, write it all down. You guys don't know what you're spending until you actually physically write every little thing that you've bought down. If you go to Starbucks 3-4 times a week, that's going to be over $20 a week you're spending on lattes or coffee or whatever. That adds up. So that's kind of stuff that maybe you can cut back on. So cutting back on your wants. So just even if it's cutting down to 2 times a week, things like that. Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought you raised your hand. Set savings goals. So set goals to save, no matter if it's $5, $10, $15. Find quick saving wins. So that could be anything from the daily discount deals to buying something on sale, anything like that. Paying down debt, and then making interest work for you. So that would be just making sure you pick the right kind of account that works for you to make the interest work on it. So that's kind of all I have on the presentation. Does anybody have any questions about what we went over or anything?
So if you have an account like from a bank like around here, is it always the same like no matter like if it's First National Bank like anywhere in like US or is it like different?
Like the account types?
No, I mean like it's like one one account and it just connects to all the banks or just at that one.
It's just, well, it's all First National. So it's all First National Bank of Omaha's. If you have a checking account with us, you can go to any First National Bank of Omaha branch and access your account. We also have some places like in other states that you can access it to. But if you went to like, I don't know if they even, First National Bank of California, that one wouldn't be considered us. Do you have a question?
Okay, so how about if you put like savings for 20 years and then like if you say like if you look for an extra year, never know.
Okay. Yes. what the bank needs, things like that. So, but they do have the option to change, they don't change, and they don't change dramatically either, that much. Yes,
You CD interest rates change.
do what?
You CD interest rates change.
They do change, however, when you, like, if you take money and you put it into a 6-month CD, the interest rate that you had at the beginning is gonna be what it is for 6 months. But if somebody else comes in maybe 3 months down the road and wants a 6-month CD, that could be different than your interest rate. But once you're in, you're locked in for that rate.
So if you get a 5-year CD and it's like, would it be locked at like an 8% interest even if the government or the economy tanks and normal interest is 2%?
Yes, if you locked in at 8%, that would be your 8% for those 60 months, no matter what else the interest rates do.
That's the one benefit of a CD.
Yes. Yes.
What happens to the money that you can save if you're not?
If you die, that's a good question. It depends on how you have your account titled. And that goes into a lot of legality things. If you have somebody else on your account, like say it's you and your mom.
So you're saying if it's just you by yourself, no kids, no family, no wife,
It does go to your estate. And then what happens is even if there is no will, you would have somebody in your either immediate family or maybe your really close friend would have to go to the courts, and they'd have to try to get what's called a personal representative for everything that you have. And then once they got access to that, they could get your money. A lot of times it's put in your will that that's who you want as your personal representative. Yeah, that's a good question. I get into some really legal things.
you guys have any other questions for Ms. Rhoda? Would you guys please give her a round of applause?
Stay seated, guys. God